Welcome to New Stripe City, a YouTube channel for diehard Bengals fans. I'm your host, Ace Boogie, and if you're a diehard Bengals fan, be sure to make sure that you subscribe to our channel. If you like the Bengals, be sure to throw a like on this video. Let's see if we can get 300 likes on this video alone. But today I just wanted to talk about some of the risers and fallers from yesterday's preseason game against the Bills. So first I'll get into some of my risers. And of course when I say risers, I mean guys that are trending up, guys that had a great performance that looked good going into the season based on their performance. Number one, Andy Dalton. The guy was pretty much perfect yesterday. If this guy completes all of his passes, because the ones that were dropped were basically his incompletions, it would have been a crazy completion percentage for this guy. You're talking about near 80%. And, I mean, it's no mistaking that this guy looks like he did in 2015. Let's hope that that carries over into the season, but definitely a bounce-back performance and easily his best performance on the preseason that he's had thus far. So Andy Dalton definitely trending up. Sticking with the offense, I definitely have to go with John Ross. I mean, you look at his game yesterday, and although he did have a mishap where he dropped a pass on what looks to be a slant that he could have taken to the house for a second touchdown, he did have the electric first play of the game, which set the tone and showed opposing defenses that you're going to have to also pay attention to John Ross. It's not just going to be an AJ Green thing. So John Ross, he worked out with TJ Houshmandzadeh in the offseason. Clearly that is paying off for him, and clearly he is ready to take the next step going forward. So John Ross is my other guy that's trending up on the offensive side of the ball. Now, let's flip to the defensive side. And guys that I saw that were trending up, Jordan Willis, number one. I think he was a guy that definitely made his impact felt on defense. He not only was able to rush from the outside, also moved inside and was able to rush effectively as well. I believe he had 2 to 2.5 sacks or something within that area. You guys can correct me in the comments, but Willis was all over the place, and he's been a guy that's been contributing solidly in this preseason aspect. He hasn't been able to match what Carl Lawson has done, but he's pretty close, and it seems like he's on the cusp of being great this season and potentially can take that spot away from Michael Johnson. Next, I think you have to move on to Andrew Billings, and he's been trending up, I believe, since the last game. I mean, this guy has wreaked havoc in the backfield. He showed a lot of that in the Cowboys game, but I think in this game, he showed the fact that he can also rush the passer, which is one of the things I feel like he doesn't get enough credit for. And Billings going all the way back to Baylor, that was one of the reasons he was my favorite D tackle coming out, was because he showed a propensity to be able to rush the passer. Not only being able to stop the run, but also adding to that dimension of that defensive line, which arguably could end up being the best defensive line in football. And that's no disrespect to anybody else, but when you just look at this team outside of Philadelphia, outside of Jacksonville, I really don't see another team that has this many edge rushers, that has this much of a presence inside as well, and has this much depth to match this unit that they have in Cincinnati. Carl Lawson, I don't want to really say that he's a trending up guy because he's been trending up since the last season, but you can't not talk about him. Sam Hubbard, I think, is also trending up just because although he didn't finish with, I believe, any pressures or any sacks, not pressures, but I think he showed yesterday that he can definitely play well against the run. So for that reason, I would say that he is trending up. Now, one guy that I like that has not been discussed in depth, and I hope that this guy makes the team, is Brandon Bell. He's a linebacker. I really like this guy. In the first preseason game, I believe he had an interception. In this game, even though the Bills scored and he was in on the tackle, if you look closely at the play, he almost made the guy fumble. He actually did kind of make the guy fumble. Had he not broken the plane, then that would have been a game-changing play. And I think that Brandon Bell, when you look at him in his competition in between Hardy Nickerson and in there with guys like Chris Worley and other guys at the linebacker position, I think that he kind of stands out. Hardy Nickerson, I think it's just not good. I'm just going to be blunt. He's just not that good. But Bell definitely makes plays to stand out and separate himself from those other guys. So hopefully he can kind of, in a sense, either break this 53 or at least he's definitely got to make the practice squad. But with the Bengals being short at linebacker, I think that Brandon Bell is a guy that is trending up for me. To look at some other guys at other positions, you look at Darius Phillips, and most people look at Darius Phillips and they look at what he's able to do on a special teams aspect. And yesterday he wasn't able to have many of those opportunities, but when you look at what he has on defense, and I believe Pro Football Focus has this quoted, this guy is averaging like 0.38 yards per reception on defense. So he's been a very solid slot corner in the pass game, which the Bengals desperately need, right? Outside of the main three that they have with William Jackson III, Darqueze Dennard, and Drake Kirkpatrick, outside of Kavari Russell, they don't have anybody really stepping up. So it looks like Darius Phillips is stepping up, at least in that capacity, and could be a guy that could continue to trend up for this team and make this roster. Now, when we talk about guys that are trending down, I think it first has to start with, obviously, the offensive line. And when you look at the offensive line, it seems like Alex Redmond was trending up after last game, but just solely based on this game, I'd say that he's trending somewhat downward just based off of the 2 penalties that he had there. He's not in a position where he can't rebound, but I think that he just did not make the most of this opportunity, and he kind of gave some credence to guys that wanted to see Christian Westerman play that position and hold down the fort at the right guard position. Well, fortunately for Alex Redmond, he still received the majority of the snaps. However, he wasn't able he received the majority of the snaps. However, he wasn't able to take a vice grip and put a vice grip on it. And I think Christian Westerman, in his aspect, suffered an injury, so that actually helped him as well. So I still feel like Alex Redmond, based off of this performance, is trending down. When you look at the other sides of the offensive line, Trey Hopkins didn't really do much to grab that position back. I'm not going to say that he's trending down, but he just didn't do anything to significantly take a stranglehold on that position. Mark Walton, still trending down for me. He had one good play. I'm not sure if that was called back or what, but he just, hasn't really done much this preseason. Not enough to really take away from a guy like Trey Carson, who I feel like is trending up. I forgot to mention him, but Trey Carson, and he hasn't really done much there for that position. And I just think that Mark Walton might just be getting used to the NFL. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's getting used to the speed and everything. I definitely think he makes the roster, but I just would like to see a little bit more from Mark Walton, especially when I've heard a lot of the comparisons that he's had to Gio and guys that have called him a steal. So I'm not saying that I've given up on Mark Walton, because it's just been, 3 games that he's played in his NFL career. But hopefully those things start to change. Another player I have trending down is Ryan Hewitt. It just doesn't seem like he's really receiving that much time in this offense, and it's a shame. And I'm not sure if it's more so that he doesn't fit this scheme on offense or what it is, but he's not playing too much in this offense, and we saw it the last 2 games, honestly, with him. So there's no telling where that will put him. If he's out of this scheme, does that mean that he's off of the roster? Where exactly does that put him? But I think we have a pretty good group here of guys that are trending up, guys that are trending down. So let me know who you guys think in the comments is trending up and who's trending down. And if there was anyone I missed, make sure to let me know. But as usual, I will leave you guys with a who day, all day, every day, and especially on Sunday.